There's a great story, great background, a lot of experience here, and it focuses on the realm of comforting chaos. All right. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. And without further ado, John, please continue on.
Thanks, brother. So, the '05 deployment, um, like I was mentioning a few minutes ago, we came into the compound where the MIT team was being ambushed. Um, when the soldiers were coming out of the house inside the compound, they had Captain Miller. Um, he had been shot, and they were dragging his body out. And they started, as they came out the door, they started taking fire at their position, and they all scattered to get behind cover. I could see that as my Humvee. We came up and smashed into the gate, and we got access into the compound. We saw that happen, and I dismounted, and I moved up to. There was a pickup truck between us in like the courtyard area. There was a
Mm-hmm.
pickup truck between us and the entrance and exit door of the house. So I ran up and took cover behind the pickup truck, and the shooting died down for a minute. Ran up to go check on the injured soldier, and the other soldiers came back up. We grabbed them. We put them in the back of the pickup truck. We were going to try and evac them in the truck. So we put them in the truck, and the medic was right there. And I grabbed the medic and was like, "Hey, get up there and try and help him." So the medic climbed up in the bed of the truck, and the interpreter was ducking down, standing there. And I grabbed the interpreter, said, "Hey, get inside the fucking truck, drive us back to the fob." And we start getting shot at, and he's like scared, nervous, and it was like, "Get the fuck in the truck," and throw him in the truck. And he starts up the truck. I jumped in the back of the pickup truck, and I was helping the medic doing first aid. And as we pull out of the compound, then they started focusing fire on us as we were exfilling. Meanwhile, the rest of the element's still there, dealing with clearing that house. We're going down the road, heading back to Iscan.
Full
The truck got shot
full
up.
full soft skin.
Yes, yeah.
Damn.
So we get shot up a bit, and basically I'm standing in the back of the pickup truck, holding on to like a crossbar, and I'm pushing down on the back of the handle on the IVA on the medic, so he doesn't fly out of the truck because we're bouncing around everywhere. Um, when we hit more flat road, I got down and I started helping the medic do first aid on Captain Miller. We come up to the ECP, we come in. Um, they get their guns up on us, everything, because they just see a white pickup truck, and we're
Yeah.
not slowing down. And it's like, oh shit, they're going to engage us, thinking we're a V-bed. I'm up in the back of the truck as we're coming in, trying to wave, get their attention.
Mm-hmm.
They give us access. We get to the med station. We get Captain Miller in. The doctors were there. They were doing the best they could on him. We're outside waiting for a couple of minutes, and I just got a t-shirt on, like I was telling Will. It was so hot. I was going out on patrol with just a t-shirt on and my IVA on.
Oh,
Right?
nice.
Yeah.
So I had blood all over my equipment and up and down my arms. And as we're sitting outside waiting, if they're able to stabilize him so we can medevac him to a row one facility. It was kind of frustrating because then the SAR major shows up,
Ooh.
and like I was telling Will, like we got a soldier dying in the next room, got several soldiers still out engaged in that ambush. We're trying to figure out if we're going to be all right where we're at, and his concern was that I had a t-shirt on. Right?
Oh my gosh.
And like that's where I was like, wait a minute, what are we doing in combat with this kind of stuff? Like,
Yeah.
so he's like, why isn't this soldier got his top
Sergeant
on? Why is he in
Major's
just a t-shirt?
downrange.
And I was just like, oh, geez, yeah, I got it. I should have my top on, but okay, I didn't think this would be a topic of focus right now.
Yeah.
But I was in the wrong, and so it's just distracting. And shortly after, just a few minutes later, they came out and we lost Captain Miller. And then one of the lieutenants we had, I think it was second or third platoon, Lieutenant Bowler, who's now Colonel Bowler. He came out and he was like, "Hey, Nelson, are you all right to drive?" Because he thought maybe I might have been injured. I was like, "I'm fine." He's like, "Yeah, we captured some insurgents out at that compound. They need a vehicle out there to transport them back in." So I was like, "Sir, I'll take a 5-ton out." So I grabbed another private and said, "Hey, get up on the turret and gun. I'm going to drive this 5-ton out. I'm going to bring back those captured insurgents." So we went out there and we brought back like 20 people from that raid. And yeah, And that was a shitty night.
Man, and what year, like what time frame was this?
That was 05.
This was about 05.
Yeah.
And you had said, right, like when we were talking, you had told me, hey man, they gave me an award for that. Like,
yeah,
right. That's one of those many awards, commendations that you've received. And, I've heard this from others as well, right? Like some of those, right. They represent like the total chaos and the worst night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Not every one of those little pieces of chess candy do, but some of those are that's what that represents is, that level of sacrifice.
Oh yeah.
Right. And the folks that paid that ultimate sacrifice.
Yep. And I mean, I harp on this continuously, especially with my junior soldiers now, and they got to understand that you are in an organization. You devoted your service. You made a choice that you are part of an organization that is in the business of war. That's ultimately, that's what we're doing. We are in the business of war, and that means we are either recovering, we're preparing, or we're in it. And that is what you're in for. You have to understand that, and that the world is different when you leave these borders, this safeguard of our American borders. The world is way different out there. We have a generational gap of understanding right now. I think, just from my foxhole, my understanding, from that first Sergeant foxhole. And that is just like, a lot of soldiers now just, and I get it. It's not their fault. It's just, it is the timing and it is the era that we are in. But there is that sense of understanding that soldiers got to have, that we are in the business of war, and society too as a whole has, it's good to know, especially, and I know Will too, especially, knowing everything that he's gone through. But it always does me a due diligence knowing that I have leaders over me who share that understanding, share that experience, and I applaud you for continuing your service, and continuing to what I call that lead from the front mentality, which I can tell you have, it is that lead from the front of the formation, mentality, so I mean, it is a business that we're in, and not a lot of people will understand that, but we will. It's a very small, and it's a 1%. The 1% of the population will understand what it is to serve, your country, and then a small percent of that 1% will understand what it is to really experience that sacrifice, and the actions that are needed, and the decision making that is needed to uphold that American way of life, and that freedom in the overseas. It's a whole different picture out there. Sorry, man, I didn't mean to get on my tangent there.
No,
it definitely speaks out to me,
Yeah, so, brother, I feel like I'm talking to a more refined version of myself listening to you talk. I don't have that type of vocabulary, but like,
no.
We're definitely like, they say you don't want to be in a room where everyone thinks the same, right?
Yeah.
But
exactly.
when people share a lot of the same experience, they have the same feelings and thoughts on things, right? Yeah. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole on where my personal opinion is.
Yeah.
But you sound just like me when I was in class with Will and everybody.
That means a lot coming from you. It means a lot coming from you, especially because Will was in my interview. He was in my interview board when I interviewed for First Sergeant. So that was already intimidating as a whole,
Yeah, right.
Having him in there, and he's just like, "Hey, you ready? Come on in." And I'm like, "Oh shoot, here we go. Interview for First Sergeant." Oh
Because I used to
man.
say that. I used to say things like along the same lines you were saying when we were
Yeah.
at the academy,
Yep.
where it was like, "Hey, we're in the wolf fighting business. We're
Yep.
not in the hey, I could wear a ponytail business. Hey, I'm
Yeah,
in,
exactly.
like, hey, I'm, like I'm going to win the war with an army of MPs. It was just like, no, guys, like we're in the war fighting
Yeah.
business. The army's overall mission is
Exactly.
fight, deploy, fight, and win. Not deploy, fight, and lose. Deploy
Yeah,
and fight. And what happens? Deploy, fight, and win. And what's it
Yeah.
take to get to the win? Right.
exactly.
So it's like I'm not knocking any MOS career field because everybody contributes to the win. Right. So we got all the war fighting functions, regardless of what your role is. However, and I know Will's heard me say this at the academy. However, one of the warfighting functions is the reason why everyone else exists,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Right.
Exactly.
So I compare the warfighting functions. I'm just going to use it as an example, but like the Patriots, right? But it
Yeah.
could be any pro team, right?
Here we
All
fucking
the
go.
all the warfighting, yeah, right. All the well, I mean, I got an in with Tom Brady. I got a little plug for the Patriots.
He's got it in. Hey, do you still
Right?
have a communicated line with Tom Brady? I'm just asking for a
No,
friend.
so all right,
No.
I know we're like all over the place, right? So in before I deployed in 2011, the
I'm just surprised
Patriots.
he didn't send you a care package. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, well, what's crazy is so like after the incident with him and Sam and everything, things worked out very well for Tom instead of being with some bar waitress, right? So things worked out very well for him. And then I got in the Army National Guard, started deploying, so I kind of like lost touch, right?
Yeah.
My cell phone's not the same number no more. Maybe he's tried to reach out to me. I don't know.
Uh
I don't know.
oh.
You know,
Uh
hey, he
oh.
might have wanted.
Tom Brady,
Maybe he wanted
hit our
so much.
bro, hit our boy up.
Tom
Like,
Brady.
come on, Tom.
Say what's up.
You've
It's
got
your
some
old
free
battle.
time, bro. You're just announcing now. Reach out to John.
So before my 2011 deployment, the Patriots had me come out against the Miami Dolphins, the last home game of the season,
Whoa.
and they
I'm a
had me.
Dolphin fan, man. So watch what you tread lightly here, okay?
so they brought me out there. The recruiting command and the Patriots were running this program called, what is it? I got it on the wall over here. It's like a Patriots salute,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
And so during one of my deployments, I had assisted a guy who got in a motorcycle wreck and lost his leg, and I put a tourniquet on. They credited me with saving his life. So the Patriots wanted me to come out to the game and recognize me on the field. So I'm down in the causeway right before they come out with like the 300 Spartan song playing before they come out.
Okay. Okay.
And so Tom's there. I'm there in my blues, right? And I'm gonna come running out with the team and everything. And he's sitting there and he's giving this hype up speech to the players and everything, and everyone's all getting amped up, and I'm just standing off to the side, just like, okay, yeah, right. Oh, look, this Tom. I wonder if he'll fucking recognize me, right? And he turns around, he gets ready to come out, and he looks over and he's like, John. I'm like, hey. He's like, it's you. They're gonna bring you're the guy, and I'm like, yeah, it's me. He's like, where you been? And I just looked up, pointed at my uniform, like, I've been busy.
I've been busy.
And so
Getting some
yeah,
shit done.
so it's like ever since then, it was the last time I seen him, right? Because then he was just crushing Super Bowls after that, right?
Yep.
Just being the GOAT.
Supermodels,
Right?
Super Bowls,
Yeah, crushing
Tuesday.
Super Bowls and supermodels.
Yeah. They were trying to do, so they were taking the Humvees and they were just sending like Up Armor kits, right?
Yeah.
So they were just, the Humvees weren't made for it. They were just slapping stuff on. Not
I
like
can imagine.
Yeah.
I'm not saying hillbilly armor because that was going on. People were welding stuff on.
Oh, I
right?
believe it.
Shit on.
I can believe it.
But when the actual like Up Armor kits were coming, they were just taking the Humvees and then they're like, oh, okay, we'll now that it's so much heavier, we'll just put these heavy duty springs in. And they were so easy to flip over.
Oh,
the engines were overheating, and it was just like, and you want to feel safe, right? You're like, okay, I feel safer inside this thing. And the next thing you know, they developed the EFP. The EFP's penetrating, and it was like,
yep. And that was a whole different game changer right there.
yeah.
And
so when during that time, 05 in RAO, what was predominantly, they were either a triggerman initiated,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or a washer timer. They were using washer timers or
Yep.
tripwire.
Or
Yep.
tripwire.
And the tripwires, we would get specifically up in my sector, we were getting hit with a lot of tripwires,
Oh shit.
right? So no one would have to be there. They could set it up and then go away, and no one would be there. And so that one idea I was mentioning, when it lifted up the back of the truck, it went off. Part of our TTP was haul ass,
Yep.
right? Because if you can't see the
The
tripwire
timer.
when you
Yeah.
hit it,
The guy trying to do the clack off, like if you were moving
Yep.
fast enough, he couldn't time you right.
yeah.
Damn.
So
Speed was
it went off.
a safety measure.
Yep. So it went off in between the two Humvees. So the driver, he just kept going. He just got dusted out. Our Humvee lifted up and got down. Everyone stopped when, gunners started scanning. Yep. In true form. I'm out the door, running like a madman, running towards the Euphrates River. I'm like, trigger man. I seen guys moving around. I'm like, there they are. Off I go. And everyone's like, there he goes again. And they're fucking running off, moving Humvees. Like, this guy slow down. Like, and guys always breaking my chops from back at the fob. Like, hey man, stop with the running.
Maybe stop running.
Yeah.
Maybe stop running.
I was like Forrest Gump. I was Forrest Gump in Iraq, right? I was running.
So let me ask you, man. So I'm pretty sure a lot of our viewers too, a lot of them are civilian based, and they don't understand just the prestige and the whole I guess baggage and the whole reputation that comes with achieving certain Army schools. Now you have Ranger and Sapper, and let me tell you, being an Army guy, let me tell you, those are two tough schools to go through.
I had no intentions. Like I was in the Marine Corps. I joined the Army National Guard to serve overseas, be a part of the war.
Okay.
I've used the terminology in the past, be part of the solution. Someone caused a problem. I want to be part of the solution.
Okay.
Right.
I like
I didn't
that.
want
I'm
to
gonna
sit
use
back.
that.
I didn't want to sit back here in the country, right, and come up with excuses why I can't serve if I haven't tried to serve, right, and adopt a mentality that, well, somebody else will go do the fighting for me. Nope, I will do my own fighting, right. And my job as the man of my family is to keep my family safe, right.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to do my part,
Mm-hmm.
and so, when I returned from my 2005 deployment to Iraq, and the colonel had asked me if I would deploy to Afghanistan, I was in Afghanistan, and that colonel, I was working for him. I was on an embedded tactical trainer team. I was an ETT, so I was on a 4-man team embedded with a weapons company of Afghans out in the Deschappan Valley, and so. And attached working with a group from Special Forces Group, 3rd Group, right?
Okay.
An ODA from them. And so he came out to visit us one time and bring out the mail. Him and the Sergeant Major came out to our location and checking on us, right? Dropping off mail. And he was like, hey, Melson, have you ever thought about going to Ranger School? And I was like, no. He was like, why not? I was like, I have no interest in going to Ranger School. Like, it does nothing for me. I was like, I was in the Marine Corps. To me, I'm here. I was a Marine, right?
I was already playing for varsity.
Right. I'm serving now. I came
I've
in
already
with a
been shot
purpose.
at multiple times.
I'm like, I'm like, not talking shit about it, but I was just like, I don't see the reason. I would rather keep deploying than to go do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, look, well, listen, you're not in the Marines anymore. Let me explain something to you. The prestige and respect it carries in your career field as an infantry NCO, if you are able to achieve earning your Ranger tab, how that will change your career path. Mm-hmm. And he started laying things out, and he's an old guy. He was very good to me, and I respect my elders, right? Regardless that he's a colonel. I was just like, everything. I'm just like, oh man, I really don't want to have this. I did not want to have this conversation with him. I want to talk about how we're going to maneuver on the Taliban and go schwack some bad dudes. I don't want to talk about Ranger School, right?
Yeah.
So, yes, sir, Roger that. Yeah, no, that would be great. And he's like, I think you need to go. I was like, well, sir, you know what? I've never been known to be a coward and shy away from a challenge, but I'm kind of focused where I'm at. I want to continue to fight in the war. So I'm going to continue to pursue serving my country in war.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to pursue going to Ranger School. But if the opportunity was to arise, I won't cower away from it, and I won't quit. And he's like, okay. The next damn day, I checked my email, and I got an A-Parts reservation for fucking Ranger School.
Got him.
I was like, you got to be kidding me. So we end up back at Fob Apache for a resupply. I go up to his chew, and I'm knocking on his door. This was a couple of days later. I'm knocking on his door, and he's like, yes. I'm like, hey, sir, it's Sergeant Milson. He's like, oh, what can I do for you? And like, we're talking through a door. So I don't know if he, what he's doing on the other side of the door. I'm just like, all right. So I got an email. I just looked it all up and everything, and it says, I'm supposed to go to Ranger School. And he's like, oh, that sounds lovely. Right? And I'm like, what? I'm like, sir, can you come to the door? I think we need to talk about this. And he comes and he opens the door and he steps out and he's like, what do we need to discuss, Sergeant? You going to Ranger School? I'm like, sir, I looked it up. It says I have to run 5 miles. When do I run? I'm running around with Afghans. How am I going to train for you? He goes, I'm sure you'll figure out something. He's like, we're going to send you out at Ranger School.
No.